Hey, thanks everybody for joining me at Border City Rock Talk, where you get some great news, interviews, great interviewees. And this interview and others will have a bit of a comedic touch. Today, I've got the third and final piece of the puzzle of my interviews with members of Triumph. I have Mike Levine with me. How are you doing today, Mike?
Ernest, I'm just fine. Thank you very much.
Awesome. So, I've got a question. I know you get asked a lot. What's the opposite of unsubscribe?
Unsubscribe.
Yeah, what's the opposite of that?
Subscribe.
All right, do as Mike says. Subscribe to the channel, and we'll get some more great interviews, just like I'm going to have today with my friend Mike here. So, Mike, I wanted to bring you on, obviously, to talk about the release of Rock and Roll Machine, the Banger Films documentary about Triumph, which I don't know, how many years did it take to come to fruition? It's probably been about 4 or 5 years in the making.
Yeah, I mean, from the Don Allen, who's one of the exec producers on it, he swears we started talking about it 10 years ago, but I think he's just having an acid flashback or something.
And I'd be remiss to forget one question here. And I've interviewed Harry Shearer, Derek Small's Spinal Tap, on 2 occasions, and I don't remember the first one or not if I asked him about, or somebody, or he commented. But anyways, a friend of mine asked me and asked you if you think Harry borrowed your stash for his Derek Small's look in This Is Spinal Tap.
Of course he did. There's absolutely no question about it.
I think I actually did ask Harry that, and he kind of confirmed something like that. So that's great. And you know what? I've seen pictures of you recently, and you look great. I interviewed Harry, and you can confess on my show. Are you guys just one person?
Well, we have a deal that we can't confirm that either way.
Okay. Well, you both play bass. You both have the handlebar mustache, and you're very, very well versed in the music community. So I'm going to say that I challenge you guys to be in the same room together. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
All right. So I watched Rock and Roll Machine twice now, which was phenomenal. And I have to give credit. No wonders you guys went with Banger Films, because to put something together like that, and back in the day, when video was something, it was very hard to get. Like now, everybody has video. You have a cell phone, you can make a movie. Back then, you'd have to hold these big things over your shoulder and stuff like that. So they brought it together really good. One interesting thing people are going to find out when they watch it was actually quite comedic, where you guys got a check given to you and you didn't even have a friggin' band. Explain that one.
Well, it's all started with an idea, and ideas grow. The whole key to everything is just you don't give up. You just hammer on doors until somebody listens to what you have to say. And if your pitch is good enough, then and your music's good enough, or just anything's good enough, if you're selling what they would need, then you got a shot.
So primarily you were kind of the salesman in that category, obviously, and so just without going too deep into this. So basically what you did was you sent out some demos that you and Mike or you and Gil did with your other band, and said that we want to make an album.
Well, really it was, I had a really good buddy of mine who used to be at a promotion at Warner Brothers Records.
All right.
And we got to be friends. And when Gil and I decided we're going to start a band and what it was going to be, I went and had lunch with Tom Williams is his name, and he had started a label with another partner called Attic Records.
Right.
And so I went to talk, we had lunch, and I said, I'm going to put together the world's greatest 3-piece band. It's going to be exciting. We're going to have the best stage show in the world. We're going to take the world by storm, and I need some money to get it going. And you could sign Gil and I, and we'll find a guitar player, and you'll make you rich. So Tom said, okay. And next thing you knew, we got a check and a contract, and we went hunting for a guitar player.
Holy jeez. I mean, you must have paid for drinks at that meeting. 'Cause
No way, not me.
no? Well,
Artist
that's,
never picks up the check.
oh my goodness. That's well, that's a testament to you. So you went and got Rick. You guys released a couple early albums. I actually found out well, no, let's go back to the trio thing. What was with being in a trio? Like Rush is a trio, Triumph is a trio. A lot of the guys I interview and females as well, I'll ask in my cliche questions if they're not Canadian. I'll say, who's your favorite Canadian band? And it's a toss up between, let's say, three of them, Triumph, Rush, or Loverboy. But with Rush and Triumph, you came out, took the world by storm. You both, and the documentary spells it out. You're picked up by an American audience first. What's with the trio? Like, was there something special about it? It's just hard to fathom now because I don't know. It's maybe the talent is there that you can have a guy play an instrument and sing, as opposed to rock bands now. A lot of them are you've got a front man, and then you have a guitar player or two, and then you have bass and then drums, right? So yeah. So what was the interest in not getting two people to fill those spots, but just the one?
Well, a band is a lot. It's like a politics in some ways, and
Yeah.
eventually, you're dealing with people's egos. You're dealing with creative differences. You're dealing with, I like you. I used to like you, but I don't like you anymore.
Yeah.
Type attitude. So the more people you have in a band, the more often those kinds of things are going to happen. Like I had a 9-piece rhythm and blues band called Terry and the Pirates, and trying to manage 9 people and 9 egos, it was a nightmare. And so and Gil had been in bands with more than 3 guys. And we just wanted to see ultimate democracy, 2 out of 3 wins, where you don't have a band,
That's
kind of thing. Whereas, one of the guitar players, they're arguing over who's going to play the solo. The singer hates the drummer. All those attitudes, can rear their ugly heads and kind of ruin what you built up. We just said it's got to be 3-piece, period.
Well, it makes a lot of sense actually. I never really looked at it that way as much. Well, I might have in other ways, but that's great. One of the other things before, like, I want to touch on some things that small things that I don't want to forget. So with the pyrotechnics, I mean, it's interesting because you were not only a great musically inclined band. Without the pyrotechnics, I think you still would have done as well. But adding to that, it was like the full show. I remember seeing you in little old Sault Ste. Marie here in our Memorial Gardens. And the show you brought to town was just like bringing the circus to town. It was just an amazing thing all around. And one scene in the documentary where Gil talks about going and buying that torch. I saw the video of it, and coincidentally, I've just interviewed Jack Russell of Grey White because their documentary came out about the station nightclub fire,
Oh
the
God,
pyrotechnics.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Did you guys ever have any issue where something kind of went wrong, but you caught
Sure,
it?
constantly.
Really?
It was the system with using pyro. When we first started using it, we had no idea what we were doing with it. It's dangerous stuff.
Yeah.
And we didn't have the money to build anything sophisticated, and you couldn't rent anything. There was nothing available. Like nobody was using pyro really, except maybe Kiss.
Yeah.
Well,
True.
obviously Kiss. It was a learning experience, and I got burnt once. Rick got burnt twice. Now that I think about it, and Gil got burnt once. And then we said, okay, enough is enough, and we had to build we built the most sophisticated pyro system. There was warning lights, there was dead man switches on stage.
Yeah.
It's like you see these red lights flashing when you're playing, going, pyro's coming up, guys, move back, kind of thing. So, But the theatrical end of it, it's us. We use pyro to enhance the music,
Yeah.
and that when I see like acts playing in daylight or on television, and pyro's going off and sparkles all the way through a song and stuff like that, that's like gratuitous to me. It makes no sense. And so we used it strategically. We were noted for the pyro, but we only used it 4 times during the show. So
Yeah.
maybe 5 times. But it was just for effect. It wasn't like, oh boy, look at all the explosions we can do. It's like, we're gonna blow your mind. We're gonna blow your eyes. We're gonna, it's gonna be really cool.
So you kind of used it in, like you said, strategic to accentuate a certain part, like maybe boom, and then he's going into a solo.
Yeah, that kind of thing. And we used it in such a way as well. If I'm sure no fans ever noticed this, but the stage lighting would go very, very dim or completely off prior to using pyro. And the reason for that is your pupils expand when it's dark.
Right.
So when the pyro hit, it was triple the effect because pupils were really, really big. So they were in darkness. That would be like nighttime, as opposed to it's really bright in daytime. Pyro doesn't have nearly the effect. So if that makes any sense, or I explained it properly, then I'm happy with my answer there. But it's hard to explain in some ways.
Well, so sounds like you're a physics teacher on the side, using that analogy.
Learned it from seeing Broadway shows in New York, actually.
Oh, really? Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. That's where I first, the stage went black, and all of a sudden there'd be this huge explosion or something, and or a big sound. You'd go, "Wow!" It scared the hell out of me.
I'm gonna use that the next time I give a girlfriend of mine a Valentine's card. I'm gonna turn the lights out and then just
there you
turn them on. You said earlier it was a learning experience with the pyro, right? You said learning?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything's learning.
I think maybe it was a burning experience.
There you go. There's a bun.
So, moving forward, when I got into the band, I got into it during the time. I think Thunder 7 was on my radar, but I got into it with the live albums. Remember when the live albums started to be big with Live After Death, Iron Maiden, Worldwide Live, Scorpions? And then you guys did stages.
Yeah.
So that's when I kind of got into the band. In regards to touring, I think your biggest show was in front of 250,000 people or even more at the US Festival. Is that correct?
Yeah, that would have been the biggest crowd, and who knows how many people. It's anywhere from 250 to 500,000 because all the fences came down.
Wow.
Nobody really knew how many people were there.
Right.
It's impossible to count.
Right. And that was promoted, wasn't it, by Steve Wozniak or no?
Yeah, it was founder of Apple Computers.
Okay. Yeah,
it was his show. It was all about the people and being together. Everybody thinks it's the US, like United States, but it was about us, we the people type attitude. He had tents set up with technology and the latest in computer stuff all around. I wish we could have, visited those areas, but it was impossible to get around. But
did it have sort of a Woodstock kind of a vibe?
I think it was obviously it was a little more sophisticated than Woodstock was. And because, he was pretty smart in the way they did the shows because it was a 3-day festival.
Yeah.
So, our day was Heavy Metal Sunday, on Memorial Day weekend. Right. And it was like, it drew, I think there was 60,000 the first day. And then our day was anywhere, like I say, from 250,000 to 500,000 people.
Wow.
And the last day was about 100,000 or 110,000 apparently. Oh. So it was really well put together. There was, plenty of food, plenty of water, plenty of washrooms, plenty of, no shade though. There was no shade and it was dusty and hot.
Yeah, that was in San
San Bernardino.
okay, Valley, right.
Yeah.
So outside of that show and outside of the one you guys did about, I don't know, 8, 9 years ago in Sweden, what was the biggest show you guys did when you guys were together, aside from the S Festival?
Canada Jam was in 1977 or 8 at Mosport Park outside Toronto.
Okay.
There was over 100,000 people there. It was the biggest show ever in Canadian history.
Wow.
It was a mishmash of artists, you know, everybody from Lionel Richie to us to Triumph, and we were the headliners basically. We closed.
Wow, Lionel Richie.
I can't remember who else was on it. You have to look it up. I can't remember.
For sure. I see in the documentary, for all the viewers here, make sure you go out and catch it on Crave or find it somewhere. It's well worth watching as well. Very well put together. A lot of big names are in there. John 5, I was surprised to see in there. Sebastian Bach was really instrumental and unique in the beginning of the documentary. He puts on a song on a turntable, which you kids out there, you'll have to Google what a turntable is, but he's in there. You've got the Trailer Park Boys, JD Roberts. Everybody remembers JD, Eric Emmon, and he's gone on to be John Roberts, a Washington-based news correspondent. He speaks with you in the documentary, and there's a couple other ones I don't want to forget, but they'll come to me. So during the Much Music days, that must have been exciting because you guys were kind of at the genesis of that time. Like, I think you guys were one of the first bands, I think, that were starting to be advertised on TV with your tours and your albums.
Yeah, we used TV. I think we're the first band for concert dates that ever used television. And reason being, we had made the first tour. We made a 60-second TV spot that was pretty unique because nobody saw it. It wasn't very good, but it looked really cool because by today's standards, it wasn't very good. But you know, it was I think there's a little piece of it in the doc.
There is, yeah.
Yeah, you know, and it was their mission is to blow up the country or whatever. It was pretty cool, and it hit so hard that the TV stations that we bought time on, they'd be calling saying, you know, do you have anything else we could play? Because we're getting requests for the spot. People are lighting up our phone lines to see the advertising for the show again.
Wow.
So we just go, well, just run it for free, fellas, you know, have a good time.
Isn't that something? Yeah, the other guys I looked up that were in the doc, Kiefer Sutherland, everybody knows Kiefer.
Yeah.
You know, Julian, you know, Bubbles and the boys, the Trailer Park Boys, and our friend Lawrence Cowan from Styx speaks very highly. When you first saw the documentary, and I mean, you don't have to be politically correct because I mean, I want when I have an interview, I want everybody to be open. So, and I should even, you know, even insinuate and say something like that. I take it back. So, what was your take when you first saw the documentary? Excuse me.
Well, when I first, there was various iterations of it. You know, there's the rough cuts and all that. You know, it was Banger's film, and we didn't want it. We wanted them. We didn't want to influence what they were, how they did it. Right, their job was to tell the story that they wanted to tell, and we were all pretty much in agreement. No holds barred. You know, just tell the truth and to have a good time and give them enough footage that they can make a good story out of it. And you know, so they asked us what we thought, you know, on a rough cut, and we all wrote down our opinions and sent them in, and then didn't really get involved after that until we saw the final cut, and it was pretty darn good. I'll tell you that. I mean,
Yeah,
I was not. It really killed me how good a job Banger did on it. You
must have been
know.
emotional at times.
Yeah, it was, and that's why I think it's a great. You know, I look at it more as a film than a documentary,
Okay.
because a documentary just, okay, here's what they did from, here to there and there to there and there to there, and this is kind of how it happened.
Yeah.
Where this kind of, like, it will make you laugh, it'll make you cry, and that's what makes a good film. It'll target your emotion and your emotions.
Right. Right.
And as a guy that was in it, it tugged at my emotions. So I think it's really, really, really good, and I'm really proud of it.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely not making money promoting this. I'm promoting this because it's a damn good film. So people should check it out, definitely. And I'll leave a link below the YouTube when I put this up on YouTube. I'll leave a link for people to go to Crave. You also toured with somebody interesting that I've been wanting to get a hold of for a couple of years now, Yngwie Malmsteen. What was that tour like with Yngwie and your interaction? Because the consensus is he's kind of standoffish. How is he with you guys?
They're pretty standoffish.
Okay.
We didn't really interact with him hardly at all, other than to say hello. Our tour manager had nothing but problems with him.
Pardon me?
Our tour manager had nothing but problems, because they would go on late and play to, if he was a 40-minute set, he'd try and play for 60 minutes as an opening act. And our tour manager finally said, look, either you play on time or I'm going to pull the plug. So the next show, Yngwie goes overtime, and Jeff Crump, our tour manager, pulled the plug off. It's just like the lights went out, the equipment went off. And that was it with Yngwie. From that point, from there, then on, he was on time.
Wow.
So that was good. I'll just tell you one anecdote that just killed me. He wanted, like, I think he did, I'm going to say 15 dates with us, maybe 20 tops. I can't remember which album the tour was on, but after maybe the fourth or fifth date, he decided to change his name, and to change his name from Yngwie Malmsteen to Yngwie J. Malmsteen.
Right.
And so our question was, well, are you worried you're going to get confused with the other Yngwie Malmsteen? So you have to put your middle initial in to differentiate yourself. And I said, like, absolutely no way are we changing all the posters and all the advertising so you can insert J into it. You can announce it from the stage all you want, that your name is now Yngwie J. Malmsteen. And I'm sure everybody in the crowd will be very impressed with that. So, have a party with that one.
That is hilarious, Mike, because you've obviously seen this as Spinal Tap. That movie has got a spot, and actually when I was talking to Harry Shearer not too long ago, it was about a month ago, I interviewed him, and we talked about ad-libbing and improv and stuff like that, and he made a point of mentioning that specific thing about remember Hearing Aid? Ronnie James Dio set up the Medal for Africa kind of famine relief.
Yeah.
Well, they had Spinal Tap in there, and to be part of that. And they had a scene where they were on Michael McKean. Everybody knew him as Lenny from Laverne and Shirley, but he says, "Oh, we've got this great guitar player here, Yngwie J. Malmsteen," not to confuse him with all the other Yngwie Malmsteens out there.
Oh, really? Sorry, I didn't
know check out This Is Spinal Tap. I know you've seen it probably once, but just check that part out. It's hilarious. So
okay.
So that's just great, man. That's a great story, Mike. That is awesome. So moving forward, the great thing about the documentary. Oh, and you know what? I forgot to mention. I'm gonna thank you very much, Chip PR. If anybody needs music promotion, he's the guy to go to. I forgot to mention that at the beginning. I'll leave a link. But anyway, so the great thing about the documentary was it's about the fans, and all throughout it, there's different scenes where different fans talk about, and there's some fan mail, and I mean, it's Gil's a pack rat. He kept everything, and you guys kept everything, and there's some letters in there from people that were suicidal and had something and said, you know what, listening to some of your music, guys, you really saved me from the brink. The fan mail you received back then, and you looking back, that must be more special than anything, because it took people time to sit and literally cursive write 4 or 5 pages to you guys.
Yeah, it's that's what the one thing that we're proud of a lot of things we did in our career, but probably most proud of how our music touched people.
Yeah.
It's like it's an honor to be able to say that.
Yeah.
And you know, so we always took care of our fans, you know, from whatever, you know, if you got a letter that needed a response, you know, there's, you know, we used to get, you know, hundreds of letters every month or whatever, and it's like someone would go through it and say, guys, you better read this one, or you know, we didn't have time to go through everything
No,
ourselves.
for sure.
You know, but you know, and that translates right back into the music, translates right back into the concerts that we put on. You know, it wasn't the same show every tour; it was different. You know, we made the fan experience even better, and that's what it was all about for us. You know, it's without fans, you don't have anything. So
Yeah.
you got to treat them like kings and queens.
Well, for sure, because I mean, that was your livelihood, right? Without any fans, you can't make money, you can't support your family. So, you know, it's a give take relationship. You give people beautiful music to get them through tough times, motivate them, and then they reward you with, you know, adoration, which, you know, is good for the soul, but it also helps pay the bills. So, I mean, it's just great you guys did that. But the thing about it I was trying to get at was the way the Banger did this was they did a countdown to that show that you guys did for your fans. Was that 2019?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so you played in front of 300 super fans that came from as far as I think Brazil, the States, all over the place, all over the world, and you surprised them at the end by everybody thought there was going to be just I think a couple people would have the intuition that would have figured that there's going to be something more than just a blanket statement on a screen from you guys. I mean, I think I would have got that, but I'm sure you surprised the majority of them when you guys opened that curtain and you played 3 songs together. And you guys hadn't played together since what, that festival in Sweden or something?
Yes, and so actually there was one show after Sweden, which was in a big festival in Oklahoma.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was around the same time frame, 2008.
What made you guys pick those 3 songs?
No particular reason other than we felt we could do a really good job on them, A. B, we thought that was what the fans would like to hear. If we're going to pick 3 songs to play that we can do a really good job on, and what the fans would get off on, you know, we thought those songs would fill the bill, so to speak. Yeah.
And without you know, prying too much, was there a reason why you guys stopped at 3 and didn't maybe do 6 or a full set?
We couldn't. We just didn't have, you know, we didn't. It took us a lot of rehearsing to nail 3 songs.
Yeah, I get it. It's been years.
And afterwards, we were exhausted.
Yeah.
You know, we're back in a dressing room we created at the studio or in the warehouse, and we're just like absolutely out of breath, exhausted. And you know, we couldn't have played anymore than those 3.
And you obviously would have known that after the show you'll be sitting there signing autographs and posting for pictures for 3 hours.
Yeah.
So
as well, yeah, it was a big day. You know, it was a lot of work for us to put together and rehearse, and you know, we must have rehearsed, I don't know, 30 times for 3 songs. You know, every day we'd go and we went. There was a time because we didn't plan to play. This whole thing was just we're going to do a Q&A with the audience and with the fans that were there, and that was going to be it. And then, we were sitting around one day, and I think we were out for dinner, the three of us. So we said, maybe we should think about playing. It would be really cool, and it would be a surprise, and it would be great for the film, and it'd be good for us, and great for the fans, blah blah. So we said we rehearsed. Let's give it a week and see how we do. And after a week, we went, maybe this isn't such a good idea. But we hung in and just kept woodshedding, and it all came together.
Right. I know myself. I understand when bands break up and those things, and as a fan, you want them to get together, and you kind of think that the band owes the fans and stuff like that, which as I've grown up and got more mature, you kind of realize it's like work. If you work at a certain place and you're not getting along for a reason, you have to find a new place to work. You have to find your happiness. Now, I've always wanted you guys to get back together, and I mentioned I asked Gil straight out last year or 2 years ago, is there any chance? And he says, probably not. There might be some kind of a touring show. I forget what he was talking about, but you probably know what I'm talking about. Anyways, was there any time during the time that after Rick left and after Phil came in and all that stuff? Oh, that brings me to another thing, Sebastian Bach. That deep down you wanted the band to get back together, maybe in a private thought or two?
Oh, sure. There was lots of back and forth with Rick over the years, through people potential managers, concert promoters, whatever, going, you guys should just go out and play.
Mm-hmm.
And we couldn't find a common ground that really worked. And so we just didn't do it. Right. And when we did think about doing it, was around the whole Sweden, Rocklahoma time frame. Yeah. Which we actually had some buildings on hold throughout America and Canada to tour. And then the recession hit, if you recall. 2008, 2009, it was so horrible out there. People were out of work, and we said, it's not really a good time to go out there. And because we're looking at big buildings, and we're going, if we do 3/4 of the house, we'd look at that would be a total failure. If we didn't sell out, we'd be very disappointed. Right. So we decided to put it on hold, and the recession went on and on in 2010, 2011. By the time that happened, we had lost the kind of shine that we had about going on the road. Right. So we just never did it.
Right. So currently, you're primarily focused on metalworks with Gil, correct?
Well, no, Gil, that's Gil's baby. It's
okay.
That's his thing. The doc has been a lot of work promoting it, and other Triumph kind of assets that require babysitting, which I'm kind of in charge of.
Okay.
And other than that, I'm speaking to you from Mexico, where it's my southern office this year.
Are you kidding me right now? Where in Mexico are you?
In Puerto Vallarta.
Oh man, I love that country. I backpacked through it, and my favorite place, to be honest with you, is still Acapulco. I know it got a bit dangerous, but yeah, Puerto Vallarta is just another beautiful place. So you have a place up there that you're staying for the season, or?
Yeah, just for a couple of months. It's the first time in Mexico. We usually go to Jamaica for the winter, and we decided to try something new this year.
What do you think of Mexico then?
It's different. Yeah. It's much more, there's certainly a lot more conveniences here than we found in Jamaica, where we were in the grill. Yeah. But you got Amazon drops by this condo, probably twice a week with stuff. Try and find Amazon in Jamaica. It's just not there. Yeah. You got Walmart here and Sam's Club, and real grocery stores with real food in them and things like that. So it's interesting.
So obviously you learned a little bit of Spanish, like the best things, donde está el baño? Yo quiero dos cervezas, por favor.
Yeah, the por favors and the C's are, I'm pretty good at. but everything else, where we are, everybody, all the staff speaks pretty good English. So,
yeah, that's throughout Mexico, I found. Anyways, even in Mexico City, I stayed there for 2 or 3 weeks, but I mean, it's a beautiful country. I got to tell you. So
this pretty.
yeah, I won't keep you very much longer, Mike. I really appreciate your time. What can I ask here, just as an outro question? Um, is there any kind of work you're doing on the side musically that people should know of, like music?
Not really. No, I'm pretty much. I'm not playing at all. Really, I've got like all of us, we have some kind of affliction. Like Rick retired, right? He can't really play anymore professionally, or doesn't want to, because his hands don't work the way they should anymore, and his voice he can't hit those notes, and hasn't been able to really hit the high notes for a long time.
Yeah.
And I got a little bit of arthritis in my hands, which precludes me from playing a lot.
Yeah.
It's just age, and the body's not the same. And
yeah.
So playing wise, there's nothing really going on with me, and I'm really not involved in, like, I don't get today's music business at all. So I've decided I just better stay out of it, because I don't understand it.
Yeah, well, it's a challenge these days because everybody can get everything for free.
Yeah, well, that's another issue altogether too, but
yeah.
So be it. It's like it's still a business, and people still make money. The problem is, like, 1% of all the artists make 99% of the money, and that's not a good barometer. It doesn't bode well for new artists.
Well, I learned from helping bring the Killer Dwarfs here that I was told by the manager, I didn't even realize this a couple of years ago, that merch is one of the ways to make money, and people don't realize how much merchandising is crucial to breaking even and even making a profit.
Yeah, well, it's certainly one way that, an act certainly can't make much money selling records or compact discs anymore.
Yeah.
And the streaming game, unless you're into millions and millions of streams,
yeah.
you can't buy a hamburger.
Right.
And so merch is and ticket sales are really the only way you can make any kind of dough to support your family.
Right. Yeah. The one question I wanted to get, and then I will let you go. I know you're probably wanting to get back onto the beach, you bugger. It's freezing up here in the city. Sebastian Bach filled in. Was it 93?
Yeah, something like that. I think I was at the Q107 Rock Awards. The Q being the big station in Toronto, big rock station. Seb played with us. I think Phil played with us too then.
Yeah. Phil. And so I guess you brought in. I didn't even realize Seb was in there until I did a little bit of extra research. And so I guess he was taking the Rick Emmett solo or songs.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't singing those songs. We used when Phil was in the band. If we were playing live, Rick Sanders, who toured with us a bunch of times.
Yeah.
He would come out on the road with us and Phil, but Rick would do the Rick songs.
Oh.
Because he had the high voice.
Okay. That answers that. Okay, man. Well, thanks so much for your gracious time, and everybody viewing and listening to Mike here. Go out and check out Rock and Roll Machine. I got to tell you, there's a toss-up on the names for a couple of years later on the line in Rock and Roll Machine, but I think you guys were a rock and roll machine, and you're well oiled, and we thank you for that, Mike. And yeah, man, I appreciate your time, and thanks again, Chip, for helping me with the third part of this trio of interviews with this great Canadian band, one of my favorites. And Mike, I hope to talk to you again, man. Have a great day.
Yeah, thanks, Ernest. And keep your eyes out. There's going to be a DVD coming out of the film with some special features in it, some stuff that's not in the film. We hope.
Oh, maybe some material that was not. Yeah,
Yeah, outtakes or whatever. Yeah.
outtakes. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All
So
right, man.
all right, you be good.
Take care.
All
Adios,
right, Ernest.
amigo.
Adios.